Lilith has been making some huge quality of life improvements to Rise of Kingdoms. But as you know, I've been playing Age of Empires Mobile, and today we're going to be covering 5 features Rise of Kingdoms should be stealing and implementing today. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms video from your very own Chappy Gaming. As you heard in the intro, today we are going to be talking about some quality of life features that I think Lilith absolutely needs to adopt. And this video is not about Age of Empires, it's about Rise of Kingdoms, so if you guys came for Rise of Kingdoms content, here it is. Before we jump in, drop a like on the video if you're excited about the topic. But let's talk about what originated this. For one, Age of Empires just launched on October 17th. As you guys know, I got sponsored by them and made a bunch of content for that game. In doing so, I realized that there are some really cool things that they have, which is mainly because they listened to the feedback from the community when they were talking about launching the game. So today we're going to be covering 5 different features that Age of Empires has that I think Rise of Kingdoms could pretty easily adopt, which would make all of our lives so much easier. Let me know which of the 5 you are most excited about in the comments section below, and maybe we should create Discord submission for feedback. So let's jump into it. Number 1, in Age of Empires today, they actually have support for auto barbs. What? You may be wondering, what am I talking about? Okay, here's Age of Empires if you haven't seen it before. But let me walk you through how this works. So just like Rise of Kingdoms, if you're going to go barb, you can actually just search for barbarians. That's what this does. However, they have this thing you can do called auto field battling, which works so long as the app is open, but you can actually click auto field battle, select which kind of barbarian you want to fight, which is irrelevant for Rise of Kingdoms, how many units you should have in your troop, and you can just click auto battle, and it'll use up all of your AP. So just check this out. Okay, so you may be wondering, Shabby, why do I care about that? Well, for one, what this allows you to do is actually just send your marches out, and they can go through, they can use up all your AP, and you have to do nothing, right? All you have to do is keep the app open, and you can use up your AP that way. I know for a lot of you guys in the comment section, you're gonna be like, Chappy, I would rather use all my AP chaining, and sure, that's great. However, if you're going and sitting down at dinner and you haven't used up your AP for the day, why not just shoot out some barbs while you're eating dinner? This is such a great AFK feature that I think would make Rise of Kingdoms so much better because it gives you the ability to play while you're away. You can go through, you can use up your AP. I will say the only limitation is it only uses up the AP that you actually have opened, which I guess is probably a good thing. But this is huge. That's such a helpful feature. Even now, I just sat down and I have a ton of AP to burn and I have no time to do it. I think this is great for a lot of those players that want to get stuff done, but they don't have the time. And this could be really easy for Lilith to implement. All you have to do is hit search, and then they could have a new button here that says auto battle, and you can select which level you want. Done. It's done. That easy. I just made it easy for you, Lilith. And you guys just modified this to add level 40. So that's number 1. I think auto barbing would be huge. It's such a great feature in Age of Empires Mobile. It has helped me do so well in terms of resources and speed ups in the early game. But that's not all we have. Let's move on to number 2. Okay, we're here on to number 2. And this is a super underrated functionality, but I think it's such a big one. In Rise of Kingdoms today, we're all familiar with going into Discord bots, dropping photos, screenshotting your app, and trying to figure out how many resources and speed ups you have. I don't know about you guys, I think that's such a pain in the butt, and it's so inconvenient. In Age of Empires Mobile, they actually have this really cool built-in functionality here that shows you exactly how many resources you have. It shows you what your custom resource chest breakdown is. It shows you how much stamina, which is the equivalent of AP, you have. You can view all of your speed ups in a breakdown, and this updates in real time. This is such an amazing functionality that Lilith could totally do. I don't know why we don't have this yet. We've all gone through the struggle of saying, hey, you know, do I have enough resources for Zenith of Power? I don't really know. This solves that problem. It makes it so much easier to figure it out. Before you push events, you could just come in here, check what you have open, check what you have available. It's also really cool because it shows you what you have in items versus what you have open. So, such a great functionality. Lilith, I think you guys could easily steal this. This is a great one. Let me know. Are you guys pumped about this? Do you think that's something we should have in Rise of Kingdoms? Am I the only one that's raving and ranting about the fact that I can't easily figure out how many food I have or how much gold I have in my bag before I go into KVK? Like, I know this drives me crazy, but maybe it's just a Shappy thing. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think. I think this is a huge feature that Rise of Kingdoms could easily adopt, especially if they're looking at like great, easy quality of life improvements that they can make. Like even right now, you tell me, quick look, no screenshots allowed. How many speed ups do I have? Couldn't tell you. I have no idea. On to number 3. Okay, this next one is a big one. We've all been there, or maybe you haven't. I have. Where you've picked a commander and you've made a mistake in terms of your investment. I know, we've been there, we've done that. And it sucks. It's the worst when that happens. Look at my Gilgamesh. How many gold heads did I waste on this commander? 529 legendary heads. You let me know in the comment section, have you made a worse mistake than my investment in Gilgamesh right here? This guy sucks. One of the things that Age of Empires has, which is a huge quality of life change, is this, a hero reset event. This has come up a few times now. During this event, you can go through and you can reset a commander investment. You can pick any of your commanders and it'll give you your hero medals, it'll give you your skill points, it'll give you your talents, all of that. And yes, I know we have the skill reset and I know we have the talent reset, but I would much rather get my universal heads back, sorry, and all of my other things. In Age of Empires, if I go through and I refund this, I could turn around and say, you know what? I'm not going to work on Joan of Arc anymore. I'm going to take all of this and put it into someone else. And I can do that. Lilith, at this point in the game, there is no reason you should not be able to give us a hero reset. I've been begging for this for months. And you guys keep releasing new and cool commanders. Give me some gold heads so I can invest in them. This is also huge because you get so many players that invest, and they're early game whales, and then they turn around and it's like, oops. And yes, I know, the comments are going to be like, Shappy, they introduced this for early game kingdoms. Fine. I have been playing this game for 2,000 days, and I've never gotten a hero reset event in Rise of Kingdoms. Please let me reset some of these crappy commanders that I have. Ugh, okay. This is a frustration. I at least want this event once in Rise of Kingdoms. Just let me refund Gilgamesh, or Theo, or Flavius. They all suck, and I don't use any of them, and it would be cool, because then I could have another Meta March. Just a hot take. But, is what it is. Let's move on to the next one. On to the next one. So, this one is maybe not that big of a deal, but I'm going to bring it up just because. Today, in Rise of Kingdoms, you have a number of different ways to select all your troops, right? You can double click on the field. You can select an enemy and go into multi-select. You can double click on the icons and drag from there. Or you can just drag one at a time. Now, this is great, and it's been awesome, and Lilith just added new mechanics to mobile to try and make things better. One of the things that I really like in Age of Empires Mobile, and this is, again, this may be a little one, but for combat, I think it's really handy, is this. If you're in Age of Empires Mobile, and we go over here, and you're in the field, let's find an enemy. Let's just pick anything. We'll find this guy. You can choose to actually focus attack an enemy, which lets you swarm that particular enemy with all of your marches that are open on the field. It does not matter whether or not you have multiple marches selected or not. You can just focus attack that enemy and all of your marches that are in the field will go and attack it. I know it's a small thing, but it could be so useful. Like, if you're on keyboard, fine. You can use the keyboard commands in Rise of Kingdoms, and you can select 3 marches at once or 4 marches at once. But this would be so handy for mobile, and they just made all these new enhancements for the mobile gameplay. Give us a focus attack button. It's not like we can't do it, right? If we go into Rise of Kingdoms, let's pick this Barbarian. You could add a second button right there. You could totally add a second button that says focus attack. I don't know. This feels like a small one, but a great quality of life improvement that I'm sure would help a bunch of people out. It's also handy because it saves you a click sometimes. I'm a fan. Let me know. Is this something that we should get? Is this something that we shouldn't get? I don't know. This next one is a huge one, though. Let's talk about the next one. Here we are. We're in Rise of Kingdoms. Today, you have resources. Yes, everyone knows that, Chappie. What are you talking about? In Rise of Kingdoms, the only way that you can really get resources is by having a farm account. And you can go through, you can farm your resources and gather from there. And Lilith just upgraded the resource nodes. Thank you. But the only way that you can get more of resources other than gathering and using your farms is actually just going to be buying it. And you can't go from one resource to another because they have different uses, right? Everyone knows when you're fighting with T5, you need gold, obviously. But you don't need food and you don't need wood. A lot of the time I find people who are fighting with mostly cavalry will have like lots of extra one resource, usually wood. So this is a big deal. And it makes it so you have a real scarcity problem in Rise of Kingdoms that's kind of a pain in the butt. Age of Empires has a solution to this. So in Age of Empires, first things first, farms are kind of useless. They're not really useful. You have a limited cap of like 3 million resources that can be transported a day. You heard me, a day. Granted, resources do go a lot further in Age of Empires than they do in Rise of Kingdoms, but that still kind of sucks. But one of the things I've noticed is that in Age of Empires Mobile, I'm not running out of resources as much, but I can also go through and do something called trading. I can select a resource. Let's say I'm going to I have a lot of extra food right now, and I want some wood. I can select a resource, and I can also have a different exchange rate, assigning villagers to it. But I can just exchange all of this for the other resource. What? That's huge. This is such an awesome functionality that I wish Rise of Kingdoms had, right? Let me exchange some wood for some gold. Let me exchange some stone for some gold. Let me exchange some wood for some food. This is such a great mechanic. And there is a little cutoff there, right? If I assign villagers, I actually can get more that way. But this is such a great functionality. The fact that this doesn't exist today in Rise of Kingdoms is such a bummer because everyone finds themselves in this situation. And I do think it would work well with farms because a lot of the time, let's say you're farming, there are only wood nodes. I don't need wood, but I still want to farm. So I can farm all the wood nodes and then I can exchange that for gold. And there is a cap on this, right? But I think this is such a great functionality that would be huge for Rise of Kingdoms. And it would stop some of the resource selling that I think Lilith is really actively trying to combat. And yes, I know 1.1 million resources is not that much. But like, what if it were like 5 or 10 million resources a day? I think that could be a pretty big deal. I'm a fan of that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I think this is a great quality of life functionality that Age of Empires has that Rise of Kingdoms should steal It feels like such a slam dunk. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I think we could use the trading post to do this, actually, or you could use your storehouse. Oh, that would make so much sense. Use the storehouse to exchange resources. I don't know. I'm a fan of it. Let me know what you guys think below. On to the next one. So here we are. We're back in Rise of Kingdoms. This one is super important. When you train troops in Rise of Kingdoms, you just start this and you have to wait a day and 17 hours to get your troops. Now, for some things, that's great. Like, let's say you have an event going on and you want to do that. And you're saving these troops to claim them later for, like, Zenith of Power or something, or Mightiest Governor. That makes sense. However, a lot of the time, that's not the case. And realistically, there is a amount of time it takes per unit. So if we go over here, let's do one troop. It takes 1 minute and 15 seconds per unit. So in theory, over time, these troops are being trained, right? It's not like after a day and 17 hours, these troops magically got trained, right? In Rise of Kingdoms, there is a sequence in which these troops are being trained. And at the end of the timeline, you have successfully trained that many units. At least that's what would make sense, right? This is kind of supposed to be realistic. Age of Empires solved that. So here we are. We're back in Age of Empires. Check this out. If I go to train in Age of Empires, right? And I can just train some troops. It will actually let me claim the troops that have successfully trained within that time period. So as you can see, I have 16,000 cavalry right now. I can claim these 38 troops right away. And then when my troop queue is done, I can start training more troops. But this allows me to claim some troops as I go. It also encourages me to engage with the game more often. And it's such a fun functionality because you're constantly adding more troops. And if you're online, you can just claim and train and claim and train, and then you don't have to wait. This is such a great and simple functionality that Rise of Kingdoms probably could implement, like with no problem at all. The fact that we don't have this already is really surprising to me because it's so straightforward. I don't know. I think this could be super handy. I'm a fan of it. I would love to just be able to have a constant training queue rather than having to start, wait. The other thing that drives me nuts is the fact that I might train troops and then I go to bed, and then there's that 8 hours there, if I'm lucky, of nothing, right? What if I could claim them as I go and then replenish it so I'm updating my queue? There are other mechanics I've seen this where you can actually like add to it. It's kind of like Crystal Tech and Crystal Mine. What if we could do that with training? That's such a great functionality, but it's just not available yet today. It's a bummer. But that concludes our video. If you guys have enjoyed, please be sure to let me know in the comment section below. This is a new type of video that I haven't done before, but I think it's a handy one. And I know you guys may be coming from Age of Empires. You may be coming from Rise of Kingdoms. I make content for both. If you haven't already, do hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right-hand corner. And hit the bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. Helps make sure you don't miss the content. If you've enjoyed, drop a like on the video. Thank you all. Shabby out.